A few short remarks. I know I have more important things to do, like eat and get to the new building. I want to welcome everybody. We have a lot of people here today with that welcome. Board members from sending schools, administrators, community members, parents, staff, students. So we just want to welcome everybody. This is an exciting occasion, certainly one that we've been working at for a long time, and for it to finally come to fruition certainly is exciting. Also, we have business and industry leaders here. We have bank officials here, Mr. Dakey and Mr. Ferretti, Community Foundation, and representatives of Cabot. And they also have been huge supporters with this project. And also our legislators, Sandy and Tina, welcome. This project is a culmination, as I said, of a lot of effort, probably going back, as I look at it, back to 1994. 2012, 1994, that's a long time. Well, there's some things that you should be aware of as we went through this process. I got a call one day from Mr. Surface. He was our superintendent, and he asked me to come over his office. And I thought, well, boss calls, you go. So I walk into his office, and there's two other individuals in there. Dr. Davis is there, and Mr. Ken Kirk. Ken is here today visiting. Ken, appreciate you coming up. So we get into the Mr. Surface office, and Mr. Surface starts talking, and he says, you know, we have a good idea. We think that you and Alice should go to Penn State and get your doctorates in vocational education. And I thought to myself, that is a great idea for Alice, but I'm just worried about getting my elementary kids to read. Ken Kirk pipes up and says, look, it's a great program. They offer every course you're going to take right in Wilkes-Barre, down at Berwick. Now, somehow Berwick, Wilkes-Barre is close together. At least it sounded that way the way Ken talked. So we're sitting there and we're thinking, this is a good idea for Alice. So we leave, and we think about it. Mr. Surface calls us down again, and by this time I'm thinking, well, you know what, this is a good idea, because what I'm experiencing at the elementary level is we have a lot of our kids that just are not book students in terms of reading and writing. They're hands-on kids, they struggle in the classroom, and when you start to see those kids from kindergarten all the way up through, you understand that it isn't a particular student, that is a sampling of students, all students. Some students are just going to struggle with reading and writing, and other kids just love to work hands-on. Needless to say, we got into the program. We went to Penn State, put our applications in, went through the interview, got accepted, started taking the courses. And the great thing was, what really sold to me was, all we had to do was drive to Wilkes-Barre. We could get a doctorate just driving to Wilkes-Barre. We went to Wilkes-Barre, we went to Berwick one time. Every other course we took, we drove to Penn State, down and back. One time we were meeting with our advisor, and he talked to us one week, he would give us some assignments, 10, 12, 15 hours, we'd work on those assignments for the dissertation. We would come back the next week, he would review it and tell us to go back and do another 10, 15 hours of work, and off we would go. So we get down there, and he calls me in, I have my folder of work. He never even looks at my folder. He starts telling me about this, he tells me about this, about that, how poor my writing skills are, and he dismisses me out the door. And as I'm going out the door, he turns the lights off. Now it's Alice's turn to go in. She goes in, he never does turn the lights on, tells Alice essentially the same thing. She walks out, we drive back to Dimmock with our tails between our legs. This is our last time we're going through this. And for 3.5 hours on the way back from Penn State, I am thinking to myself, Mr. Surface, that Ken Kirk, I will get them. So kind of, as my position as going through this, as we are going through the Penn State program and through career education, we happen to have the #1 career workforce program in the country. Penn State each year is either #1 or #2 with Ohio State. We have tremendous professors, educators in our department. One, I will speak, he was our mentor, Ken Gray, nationally known. Ken Gray, as we're going through the coursework, is talking about workforce education, talking about training, talking about jobs, and he coins a phrase that sticks with me to this day: economic advantage. Education is about economic advantage. And when you think about it, he's absolutely right. Do you want a job that pays you $10 an hour, $30 an hour, $80 an hour? I think everybody here would take the $80 an hour job. So as we're going through the coursework, that starts to resonate, makes sense. I'm looking at that along with our elementary kids that are hands-on, and it really becomes a vision, a mission for me, that to provide opportunities in education for all kids, whether they're reading and writing students, academically influenced or orientated, as opposed to hands-on students. So we go through the program, we complete the program, and Alice and I start our conversations probably about 2000, 2002. We start talking to the board about, are we offering enough opportunities for our kids? Along with that discussion, we should expand our opportunities in the Career Center so that we can offer more for our students. We have many discussions with the board at that time. I think sometimes the board looked at me like I was nuts. There's no way we're going to go through a building project. If they were entertaining any thoughts of it, they soon lost those thoughts when the price tag, talking to Mr. Cropshaw, was 6, 7, 8, 9 million. And I didn't really blame them. That was a lot of money. Were we going to get enough students, and all the issues that people go through when you go through a building project. But suffice to say that the board had the perseverance, had the vision, had the foresight to go through with the project, and thank the board. Also, one of our board members at that time, who certainly was supportive and instrumental, was Mr. Jack Seibel. So we went ahead with the project, and here we are today. Interesting, we're in an age of information. We try and get as much information as we can through surveys, through polling, political polls. We survey students, we survey parents to get an idea of what people are thinking. Interesting, probably everybody here has heard of the Gallup poll. Okay, Gallup takes a poll on just about any topic, any subject. They recently started in 2005, started a Gallup poll, and the thrust of it was wanted to find out what people think, and not only in the United States but across the world. And the feeling was if they could get a sense of what people are thinking, what people are feeling, then as political leaders, it could influence policy. What do we need? What do people think? What do they want? All those types of things. They started this in 2005. It started out in the United States. It quickly went worldwide. They are still polling today and will continue to poll. They've polled in 150 countries, any country from Ecuador, Rwanda, China, Russia, Ireland, Iran, and they looked at a systemic way to get people's input, so that if you were talking to a tribal leader in Rwanda, the questionnaire was written so that they could get exactly what those people felt and thought, as well as Ireland, Iran, or whatever. So they gathered all the information, and they talked about every subject. They talked about the environment, they talked about healthcare, health, terrorism, you name the topic, they put it on there to find out what people were thinking. The results of that, very interesting. The #1 thing that the world is most interested in is a good job. Plain and simple, a good job. It doesn't matter if you live in Dimick, you live in Scranton, in Philadelphia, any place in the country, any place in the world, the most important concern is to get a good job. And I think that has always been one of our goals with the building project, is does it give kids opportunities? Can they get economic advantage from the opportunities that they'll get from the new career center, the new expansion? And obviously, the answer to that is yes. The book, interesting, it's a great read, The Coming Jobs War. Jim Clifton is now the CEO, chairman of Gallup. George Gallup has passed away. Last, again, to thank the board for their perseverance, their foresight, all the things that have gone into this project. I know it hasn't been easy sometimes. I know we've had our ups and downs with it. I know the board has had people question their commitment, their sanity. But again, you know, they've had the foresight and the strength to persevere through that. So with that, I leave you with one thought as we go through this, economic advantage, and I think an opportunity for kids. And again, Dr. Davis made a great point with this. You know, as we go into retirement, do we want a younger generation paying into Social Security? Do we want people that are qualified for health care, for all the services that the senior population certainly needs and has come to expect? Thank you.